let us direct the story there, because there are no people for the other sides that are here to represent their interests to mention. This is not a judicial panel sitting.
No, thank you.
This is not a court.
In every situation where you have a problem, truth and reconciliation is the way forward.
Now, since discovering of oil in Nigeria, which is concentrated by God in his wisdom at creation in the Niger Delta regions. The Niger Delta regions is not a place that is very difficult for any person to. Of course, when you talk of the Niger Delta regions, there are proportionally 6 or 5 states in the Niger Delta. Cross River is not properly Niger. Not proper. Let me use the word geographical. The geographical Niger Delta has number of states because it is the definition of the Niger Delta that the issue of oil producing, that the issue of this and this emanated from. You have Delta. No, let me start from Edo. You have Edo, you have Delta. You
start from Ondo.
You
start from Ondo. Ayedatiwa.
Okay. Lucky. You have Edo, you have Delta, you have Bayelsa, you have Rivers, you have Akwa Ibom, then you have Cross River. In the Niger Delta proper of the oil producing, Akwa Ibom is accommodated properly. But there is no place for Ondo, no place for Lagos, no place for Imo, no place for Abia. But the laboriously packaged Niger Delta Development Commission accommodated all this. You know, a few years ago, before Olusegun Obasanjo left, Ogun State was being brought into the Niger Delta Development Commission.
You just bring Benin Republic.
But let me not fight too long for this, because the Niger Delta Development Commission, having been replicated in all 6 geopolitical zones of the country, has lost its relevant value. Because the first one to come was Northeast Development Authority. And it was gifted $1 billion to start off. And Major General Tafa, who was named in 1977 as Tafa the Koboko in Lagos, when he was meant to command free flow of traffic in Lagos area. So that's why the military police brought Koboko, and they used Koboko to control traffic. So he was now nicknamed Tafa the Koboko. He was then a colonel. Olusegun Obasanjo picked him. He became the first chairman of Northeast Development, and he remains the chairman today. 1 year having been created, Northeast Development Authority, the $1 billion given to him to start, what we had left is about 1 million left, and nothing substantially was established except Farouk, the Minister of Disaster Affairs, the woman.
Disaster Management.
Disaster Management. Okay. Told us that she took 5 billion out of the money to buy vehicle for the military, as if the military is no more that defense. So with the creation of this, now we have it in northwest, we have it in north central, we have it in southeast, we have it. The purposes of the Niger Delta Development Commission had been eroded and is no more useful. But as of the last count, we have members of the Niger Delta Development, which are now oil producing area. How many of them? I may ask my guests where the time comes when because you see on ban now, I cannot talk now because I've not introduced him. So the oil that came, Lopobri, many other factors there. Has the oil helped Nigeria? Yes. Has the oil helped in developing Nigeria? Yes. But who was directly in control of the resources of the oil ab initio? Shell from Netherlands was the one. A time it was that Shell was directly importing guns, arms and ammunition, supplying to the Nigeria police. And at the time they moved it to the Nigerian army. The Nigerian army only is of latest. When I say latest, I'm not talking of 5 years ago. I'm not talking 10 years ago. But the police, as memory could carry, Shell will import guns and ammunition to give to the police to help them guide the area in Niger Delta that is prominently the oil was coming from. The landlord, mostly so to say, of the area that the oil was coming from happened to be Ogoni land. Ogoni land is made up of about 6 different kingdoms. And the story of Ogoni land is that it migrated all the we are base of passage. We are migrating from Ghana. Now, they suffered the major consequences. Though every other dweller in the Niger Delta, who is an indigenous of Niger Delta, suffer consequences. And when, please listen to this narration, listen to it, and you will find that everything is falling in line. And when she started doing that, it was not far-fetched from what the Nigeria police started with. I've said it before. The Nigeria police force was formed in 1861 through a letter written by Colonel Stanley to the Home Office to grant powers to recruit 30 people and make the 30 people members of the police force. And the letter requested permission to train them according to the army, to military. No army, they use army. And then we have no Nigeria army, but we have the West Africa frontiers. The letter demanded that please give us permission. I will want these people, these 30 men, to be recruited, to be trained in such a way that they could brutalize their own brothers and sisters. That is how the letter put. Brutalize their brothers and sisters. And the permission was given. The 30 men were recruited in Lagos here, were trained in Lagos here by the British Army in tradition with the brutality that is there in the military. They were brutalized. Then 2 years later, another letter was written from the British authority in Nigeria seeking permission to increase the 30-man force to 100-man force. And they now enumerated how they had performed very, very creditably on what? On brutalizing Nigerians, submitting them for payment of taxation. It was all about tax. Because then, the Isale Eko, which is Benin language, there is a song they mastered. Our Onisowo Libodi Odile, meaning we will never pay for head tax unless we die. So that is what threatened them. Another song that followed when they now stood their ground against the British authority collapsed, was that Isaleko, the song went that gbogbo àwọn tó wà níbẹ̀ awo ni wọ́n o. So brutality became the matter, and through brutality Nigerians became submissive into the agenda. So when Shell now resigned to purchasing arms and ammunition to the police to guide areas beyond, but most exclusively within the Ogoni zone, because You just need your shovel. You don't need any drilling machine to bring oil out of Ogoni land. Even at the back of my father's house in Delta, if any day that I need crude, I take hoe, not even shovel. As I do like this, the oil will be flowing. Now, the Nigerian government that needed the money, needed the synergy with the share company. And the share company, because of protection of what they believe is theirs, because the first smugglers of crude from Nigeria, they are the share organization. When you talk of illegal bunkering, I don't want to go into that today because I don't know anything about that subject, so I will not do it. Ogoni was targeted, and Ogoni had paid the price. So, if you see the development of Abuja, if you go to Kaduna, about 103 federal institutions that are based in Kaduna, they are made possible by the money of the crude that is gotten from the Niger Delta. But how many of such do we have there? Nothing. The Niger Delta people cannot access the fish that is traditionally theirs. They don't have drinking water, they don't have anything. But beyond that, unfortunately, governments that have risen in Nigeria would depend on that land. So anything that will bring chaos so as to exit the explorers, they will not tolerate. It is for this reason that we have chaos in Ogoni land. Then it is for this reason that we had what we refer to today as the Ogoni Four. The Ogoni Four were those that were brutally killed. And we have Ogoni 9. Ogoni Four are Albert, number 1, Albert Badey, 2, Edward Kobani, 3, Samuel Orage, 4, Theophilus Orage. Ogoni 9 are Ken Saro-Wiwa, Saturday Dobe, Lodu Awo, Daniel Oboko, Paul Levera, Felix Lauti, Baribo Bere, Barinem Kiobe, then John Buili. These were the Ogoni 9. Now, at the end of the day, it was a revelation that these were antagonizing this were antagonizing. But whatever antagonism that came was brought together was a manipulation of the governments of the day. Because at the end of the day, either the Ogoni 4 or the Ogoni 9, they are Ogoni. So the loser is Ogoni people. Nobody from Fulani, nobody from Mamsa, nobody from Ilife, nobody from Ekpe that was involved. This is a narration that will tell us about the tragedy that had befallen the Niger Delta people, and mostly as represented fully in a most cruel manner by at Ogoni land. Ladies and gentlemen, it is to make insight into this and to give us meaning that I had to go out searching for somebody who could talk authoritatively, either because he participated or because he's around or is there when all these are happening. And it's a man who believes in justice. Eventually, I found with me today here, as I talk, who is my guest now in this studio as we are talking, Suage Badey. Ladies and gentlemen, Suage Badey, Suage is spelled as S-U-A-G-E-Y. Badey is spelled as B-A-D-E-Y. I will introduce you, you correct it. Whichever one that is wrong of it, you correct it. The man, my guest today, who you shall be hearing his voice a moment from now, is the son of Albert Badey, the number 1 I mentioned when I talk of the Ogoni Four. So meaning, I brought you to the studio to talk with us, a person who was directly involved, because the father was one of those 4 that were murdered within the zone 30 years ago. So please, is it pleasure? Yes, it's my pleasure for historical purposes to welcome you, Badey, to the studio. You can talk to the people.
Okay, thank you for having me.
Yes.
And like you said, the spelling of my name, you were correct except for the Suage, which doesn't end with a Y.
Okay.
Yeah, so
It
thank
ends
you.
how?
It's just Suage.
O-D-E.
Without
Okay.
a Y.
Without a Y.
Yes.
So where did I get this Y from?
Probably you wanted it to rhyme.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Go.
so I want to thank you for having me, like I said, and greetings to Lagosians, the entire world, because I know very well that the listeners to this program, they are all around the globe.
Yes.
And also, more importantly, for giving me the opportunity to interact with you one-on-one on the Ogoni issues. So I don't know if I should keep riding on or I should wait for your questions.
No, let me bring the questions in because we have to. Now, your father was a victim of the struggle of the people of Ogoni land.
Yes.
To me, or the struggle of people of Niger Delta.
Yes.
Not only Ogoni land. At the end of the day, either manipulatively somebody said it's from here or not from here, your father paid the supreme price. You will touch on that. Then, has it ever occurred to you people, for whichever faction in Ogoni land, that this is the creation, this death that is afflicting us is the creation of both the big oil company and the federal governments of Nigeria, that we are being used against each other? You can take off.
Okay. Like I've always said, about a fortnight ago, I was on Arise Television. And unfortunately, on that day, my mind was taken back to the brutal murder of my father. And my statements were laced with a lot of emotions.
Yes.
Because it was just like yesterday. You know how the mind works. It's like a computer. So today, I don't think that I will allow emotions to
Thank you for that.
What I'm going to do here today, because it will be more intellectual, because we actually want peace in Ogoni. And that is what my father actually stood for. Going back to your statement about the government and Shell being manipulative and being responsible for the killings, yes, they are the remote cause. Because assuming Shell was doing what was right, like I said in my last interview, not constructing just narrow roads to their locations and abandoning the people, and if the government were up to their responsibility to ensure that Shell, whatever they take, they put back in equal measure.
Yes, to the community.
Then there won't have been any need for the formation of MOSOP. Yeah, and it's that MOSOP that was formed that now brought about the world getting to know about our agitation. Yes, definitely, like we all say, Ken Saro-Wiwa, who was a writer and all that, had a lot to play, especially as it has to do with getting it out there into the international community. But there existed a very serious problem.
Okay.
Which was his style of leadership.
Okay. His style of leadership.
Yes, he had a divisive style of leadership. He wasn't the initial president of MOSOP. Garrick Layton was the initial president.
What is his name?
Garrick Layton, a former federal minister.
Okay. Was the first president of MOSOP?
Yes.
Okay.
But somehow along the line, Saro-Wiwa was quite an intelligent man and filled with a lot of sophistry. And to a large extent, he wanted to be president. And so he created situations that led
President of Nigeria or
President of MOSOP.
Okay.
And then situations that he created that actually led to a lot of violence. And Garrick Layton couldn't associate with such manner of violence.
That's the first of MOSOP.
Yes, the first president of MOSOP. And at some point, he and Edward Kobani, who was the vice president of MOSOP, approached him that wanted to adopt the Gandhi model of passive resistance. Yes, of passive resistance. Yes, our aim that we can, go about civil we can make our demands known and then give room for dialogue and make sure that we get what we want. Saro-Wiwa was opposed to that. And
by this time, had the pollution of Ogoni land without cleaning commenced or was yet to come up?
The
pollution of Ogoni land by Shell.
No, it hasn't commenced.
Okay.
Yeah. So all this was happening, and somehow Saro-Wiwa himself, when Gary Clayton and Kobani resigned, he now took over the organization.
Okay.
And then that was when we started going downhill as a people, collectively, because of his divisive methods. So, but I wouldn't like to continue to say Saro-Wiwa here, because... Sorry,
Kobani. Are you talking of Edward Kobani?
I'm talking of Chief Edward Kobani, yes.
Okay, Chief Edward Kobani.
Yes.
One of the four.
One of the four, yes.
Okay.
That was brutally murdered. So, for the purpose of us achieving peace in Ogoni land, I don't want to be speaking in a divisive manner too.
Thank you.
Yeah, because mentioning Saro-Wiwa all the time, I don't think it is helpful.
No, it will not be helpful.
I'd rather use the term, the leadership of Mosop. You understand?
Because I'm not sitting on judgment here.
Yes,
this is not a court.
Yes,
Thank
exactly.
you for bringing that.
So now, a series of things, that's what the world doesn't know. Like I said, he was very sophisticated, Saro-Wiwa himself. He had he was very ambitious too. He wanted to be governor of Rivers State. He wanted to be petroleum minister. He had all that in his kitty. But then, how to go about it and achieve it was a problem, because his contemporaries, the elites, had their own views. And to a large extent...
equally had their own agenda.
Yeah, but then, Saro-Wiwa was authoritarian. And when he couldn't actually break through the wall of these other elites, what he did was to quickly now form other organizations. NICOP, which eventually became the militant wing of Mosop. And his strategy was to, defame these other elites and make the people, the hoi pollois of Ogoni, to think that they were standing in the way of this great nation where everybody was going to be a millionaire. You understand? And so, of course, mostly illiterates, most of them, uneducated. When you discuss in such manner, there is every tendency that they will be fleetingly swayed. And, and then hatred and bigotry started to build within ourselves. It went on and on to the point where the police stations, in fact, Ogoni was in a state of anarchy, because NICOP actually sacked the police stations, carted away arms. They destroyed the palaces of... You
have facts of this?
Yes, I have them, but
facts
I don't want to...
them cutting away arms.
These are true. That's why sometimes each time I speak, I wish...
And there's a judicial backing to that fact as you have them?
Of course.
Judicial backing?
Why not? Under the military system, there was...
Okay.
That's under a military system, because at least why I say judicial backing is because everything that happened in Ogoni then was compressed into the tribunal that was held then. As at that time.
The tribunal appointed by the military.
Yes, that was the judicial thing that we had in place then. You understand? So, what am I saying before you distracted me? But I now said, they now destroyed the palaces of His Royal Highnesses. One Chief Igbara, another Nzide, a number of them, chased them out of the land to Port Harcourt.
Please, Sagi, let me put it like this.
Yes.
Can we redirect the story to areas of how eventually peace can come to Ogoni land? Because today, as we speak, we have more than 3 Mosops.
Yes, a multiplicity of Mosops.
Yes.
Presidents. Yes. And even NICOP presidents too.
That's good. So how can we, let us direct the story there? Because
why?
There are no people for the other sides that are here to represent their interests to mention. And like as I said earlier, this is not a judicial panel sitting.
No, thank you.
This is not a court. So
but the problem, but in every situation where you have a problem, truth and reconciliation is the way forward. And then if you cannot bring the truth to bear in a discussion, you understand, then you cannot nip it in the bud. And that is why I needed to give you a background of all that happened.
Just brief.
So now, having said that, all I have said is that there was divisive leadership, which eventually led to the murder of the Ogoni Four, the brutal murder. These people were butchered. They were killed, and till today we've not had their remains. Now, before the killing of the four, there were pre-Ogoni Four killings, ordinary people of Ogoni were also killed by NICOP. But these people don't have a voice.
Don't forget,
Yes.
this is a very, very serious allegation.
Yes.
What's the full meaning of that?
Families.
What's the full meaning of that?
National Youth Council of Ogoni people.
Oh, national. Is it still in existence?
It's still in existence.
Okay.
And then even post Ogoni Four, we still have cases of killings and extrajudicial. No, what will I call it? Arbitrary killings and disappearances. And we have details of that. That's happened in Kedere, it has happened in Bodo,
and
it has happened in Bori.
Ogoni versus Ogoni now.
Yes, Ogoni versus Ogoni.
Ogoni people versus Ogoni
now
people.
We're not talking about the environmental fight anymore. To buttress the point that there was violence in Ogoni, why is it that up till today we have people that are being killed and we cannot see their bodies? And I have the names, I can tell you. But for the purpose of the families,
I will not
let's not cause them so much pain too.
So
now,
because I'm not justice anybody.
Now, having said that, we should now take our minds back to today. Ogoni still finds himself in a deep valley of confusion. There is acrimony, there is rancor, there is continual arguments, misunderstandings. We have not been able to get up much as one people from this deep valley, up, down, take ourselves up to the mountain of hope and progress.
Okay.
Why? Simply because that divisive leadership has left, will I call it a legacy? No. It has been entrenched in Ogoni and we remain divided till this moment. So the solution...
So the leadership matter is here a big question in Ogoni land.
It is. Because even as I speak, what I see when it relates to the multiplicity of most of presidents that you mentioned, one group will go to Abuja, to the presidency, in pursuit of an exoneration, which is not necessary. That's what X the Ogoni Four. And when you say the Ogoni Four, it's not just the Ogoni Four families. It's a cross-section of Ogoni people who are not happy about this. They go there with an offer to the presidency for exoneration, which is just a guise.
Exoneration for who?
For Saro-Wiwa, which is the murderers of the four. And then when you do this, what they promise the federal government that in order for them to be able to have proxy companies that will begin to come to drill oil in Ogoni. This is the problem, a scramble for the oil.
Okay.
Do you understand? And you have different, bodies of Ogoni people doing that. So if that is the issue, when will we have peace? Because money is not what solves problems. If you don't have a tribe that is morally sound, that understands the values, that is necessary for a tribe to be lived, and you concentrate on the idea of money, then you're going nowhere.
Okay.
So
why I decided to pursue you and bring you to this session is this. Which way forward for peace to come to Ogoni land?
Now, this is the
in less than 2 minutes.
Okay, this is the way forward. If you look back, now I said it's 30 years now that this happened. A child that was 30 years old, that was born then is now 30 years old. And the narrative, all he hears is Ogoni 4, Ogoni 9. They were butchered. The others say, no, those ones were vultures. What do you expect that child to do? He's a confused child. What we need to do is to come together and tell ourselves the truth. We killed our own. Be remorseful. That now gives room for forgiveness. Because forgiveness, remorse and forgiveness is the ultimate handshake for reconciliation. And then, reconciliation doesn't just end there. We now make the peace, build the peace, and then keep the peace. Because the generations after these 30-year-olds, if we don't solve them, they will also get to 50 and 60 and 70. And history must have been. And then their children, that divide will remain. The children of the Ogoni Four and their supporters have their own message. The Ogoni 9 have their own message. Is that what we want for our younger generation? No.
Okay, sorry.
So that is what we need to do. Address the truth and forget about surviving on the trivials of Ogoni.
I want you to help the people of Niger Delta. Yeah. And if you offer to help the people of Niger Delta, I am a chief per se in that beneficiary category. Yes, you've spoken about the continuous divisive leadership that started almost 30 years ago.
Yes.
How can the Ogoni people, because at the end of the day, you are killing yourselves. Progressively, nothing is happening for the benefit of the commoner that God put this crude to help.
Mm-hmm.
How would there be, what is the possibility way of eliminating this divisive leadership and bringing things to normal?
It starts by both parties, because no, even what is going on in Israel, we know what is going on in Israel. Eventually, we end up on a round table. Mm. So we must be able to tell ourselves that we should sit. Opposing views should sit. Do you understand? And discuss this issue. Accept the truth. Truth is cardinal. You understand? You don't have a leadership that is lacks positive awareness. All of us, as individuals, we are all entitled to a fingerprint. That is how our brain works too. So it means that we think on different wavelengths. So if you are a leader, once you get to the door of leadership, you must drop your ego. You must drop everything that concerns ego and walk out of that door in humility, ready to serve, and it's called servant leadership. Because positive self-awareness will make you realize that every person you deal with has his own idea, his own opinion, and you cannot impress your own. You have to discuss it for people to accept. On the other aspect of it, which is I'm very concerned about, what I feel today that we are suffering from is the hardening of our arteries, the arteries of our insights, and it is as disconnected us from our hindsights and foresights. This is a very cardinal problem.
Can you break that down?
What I mean
in 1 minute.
Yes, what I mean there is that we have a problem, and we know that this problem does exist. We kill our own, like I keep repeatedly. I've been repeating this over and over. And then that is what we should use as a benefit of what has happened yesterday, so that we can address it, so that the future can now be more hopeful, but that particularly for the generations yet unborn.
Okay. One more last question before I allow my people to come in.
Yeah.
And they will come in with calls. Some of them will concern you.
Yes.
But because I moderate this program, I have the right to tell somebody that that question I will not entertain it or not. Yes. So nobody will embarrass you, not embarrass me with any question. So, but listeners, Ogoni land is made up of 6 kingdoms. They are Babi, Elime, Gokana, Gehana, Yohana.
Kekana.
Oh,
it's called Kekana.
Okay, Kekana. Then
Yonkana.
Yonkana.
Babi. Gokana, Tai, and Eleme. Yes, sir.
6 kingdoms. But they started sounding like Ghana. I'm not too much because
maybe you're not far from it.
Yeah, because they migrated from Ghana. Now, you are a victim.
Yes.
Because your father was murdered. Please, as I'm speaking to you, these are raw languages. Don't allow it to bring you to emotional.
No, the truth must be raw.
Yeah, that's good. Now, and you have survived and you have seen all these things. Do you see any role you could play in order to bring the dream of a united Ogoni back to the land? Having gone through what you have gone through, do you see yourself as possibly a man that God can point to and now play a role that could bring peace back to the land?
Yeah, it's God that will decide that, but I have the desire to do so. But leadership, you don't fight for it. It sort of emanates in a way through your attitude, how you conduct yourself, and how people perceive you. I have that desire because that was what the kind of person my father was. So I would love Ogoni to come together and begin to march in one direction together for the purposes of growth. But that all depends on God. God chooses who is going to be the leader.
Thank God you made a very good statement, a very, very revelational statement, and a very frank point is what you just made here now.
Yes.
Then the final word, Now that you have the desire, have you started thinking towards the possibility of achieving that desire by laying foundations for such desires to come to play?
Like I said, we're in a deep
This is the final question.
Like I said, we're in a deep valley of confusion. What I have done was so far is to establish an NGO, which I actually named after my father. My plan, actually, is to ensure that it reaches out to all the issues that concern Ogoni. You understand how we can address it and get the younger ones to participate in it. In fact, my dream is that even in that setup, there must be a meeting room named after Ken Saro-Wiwa, and also for the four. It will interest you to know that the rest of the other 9, except the commissioner, do you understand? All the other ones were just, I don't want to use the wrong word here, but they didn't have the intellectual capacity to deal with him. So let's leave that aside. But that doesn't mean we won't remember them, because they died for a cause. And so in that same place, of course, there should be a garden that remembers them, in one way, something in one form that remembers them, because the actual leaders were Ken Saro-Wiwa, Ken Kobani, Ken Saro-Wiwa, Edward Kobani, Chief Orage, and Theophilus Orage, the brothers, and my dad, Albert Badey. These were actually the leaders, including others who would have been killed on that day too.
But
some of them are still alive.
Arriving the scene late.
Yes.
They escape. Okay.
I think you would like to meet somebody like Senator Ben Birabi. And of course, in your investigations and all the things that we do about Ogoni, you might be the arbiter. You might be the one that will raise us from this dust.
No problem.
You understand?
No problem.
So reach out to everybody. Feel free to talk with anybody.
No problem.
You understand? That can help this.
No problem. You are recommending I could as well reach out to Engineer Anda Wayogosu.
Why not? He's one of the presidents of Mossop.
He's one of the presidents of Mossop. The voice you just heard is the voice of Suage Badey, a victim who, having crossed many years, see the need to fight and bring peace to the Ogoni land. A journey of how many years starts with the first step. I think you've taken it. So calm down. This is how far we can go for today.
Thank you.
But please, are you promising that if I need you back again, you will come?
Very well, sir. You're my father.
Oh, God bless you. God bless you. You're a good son, therefore.
What an interview it's been. Revelations and angles to the conversation we're having for many years. I'm sure a lot of you didn't expect some of that talking points. But I see your messages, and I think Eugene from Alakija, Satellite Town, frames it perfectly. He says, "Good morning, Oluwakade and the Guru. Your guest description of the relationship between Ken Saro-Wiwa and his predecessor is similar to that of Martin Luther King and Malcolm X." It says, that's Eugene from Alakija speaking there. Thank you for that, Eugene. And Olamilekon from Lagos says, there's a saying, when the purpose of a thing is not known, abuse or misuse is inevitable. In a sane country, borrowing money is meant for development, but here, money is looting, buying votes for people for election gains, sharing palliatives to party loyalists. You can see what transpired with your rubber stamp Senate, where they immediately passed the loan bill within 48 hours. It goes on and on. Thank you for that message. Good morning, everyone in the studio, and Happy New Week. Unprepared rulers, according to Matthew Kuka, the man is 100% correct. Obasanjo, Buhari, Tinubu were packaged for Nigerians unprepared, but Obasanjo is still far, far better than Tinubu and Buhari. APC did not come to better the country, but are here to create more troubles and problems. So, my fellow Nigerians, what do you, as a reasonable person what do you, as a reasonable person, expect from unprepared so-called rulers, but not leaders? Okay, thank you for that, and let's pick this call. Hello, caller. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Kedi. Good morning, and good morning to the guests in the studio.
Yes, sir. Morning.
I still remember former House member 1963. I said, we teach the younger ones how to sweep and to mop.
All right.
The Guru,
90
I
seconds.
told you I carried something this morning.
Yes, sir.
That they have designed us to fail and to fight ourselves. The moment we cannot come together, nothing will work. The Niger Delta you're talking about, the guru, the youth are not together. The moment you throw coins into their means, everybody will speak different voice. That is why till today, development hardly come to that region. It's all about sharing of money. Anyway, Saro-Wiwa died when I was in junior class, like JS1 or JS2, I can't remember that time again. I remember when my dad said, he said something, that for him to die, the Ogoni people will suffer. Good morning. I rest my case.
All right, sir. Good morning to you. Back to the phone lines. Hello, caller. Good morning.
Hello, Akayode. Good morning.
Peter Omonte. Morning.
God bless you, sir.
Amen, and you too. Great.
Now, Akayode, why should the government of today like borrowing and not thinking of how this money will be repaid? You know what the Bishop Cook has said? And we find out that they are not prepared. They were not coming to say, well, I can still score Obasanjo some percentage. I can score Jonathan some percentage. I can score because Jonathan did few things. Obasanjo paid the debt. Babangida built Permanent Bridge. And then so many other things. But for Buhari and the Tinubu of today, I don't see anything they have done. The 4 refineries Buhari promised us, he didn't do new one. He did not do the old one. Everything is dead. And then we find out that electricity, education, hospitals, even they themselves don't have faith again in Nigeria, these rulers. I'm telling you honestly, so for them, for me, these people are the most unprepared, the most unserious, and the most wasteful government in Nigeria.
All right.
That's why they themselves make another country their motherland,
okay,
not Nigeria.
Sir. All right. Thank you for your message this morning or your call this morning.
Mr. K, good morning. Daddy Guru, good morning, sir.
Morning, sir.
Yeah, this is Alex from Okota.
Alex, let's hear you.
Yeah, Daddy Guru, I appreciate the guest you brought in the studio. He has really shed more light on what is really happening in Ogoni. My madam is from Kana, part of Ogoni. You know, they have Kana, they have Gokana. So I don't know if you can help us shed a little light between these two local governments, because I see that there is always this divide and rule. You know, politicians come and put some form of a discrepancy between the both of them, and they begin to fight for no reason. I don't know if you can shed more light for us to have a clear picture of what is always happening between these two people.
Okay, that time is not available for
all
today.
right, then thank you so much.
When it comes again, we will get that. We will get that
done.
solved.
All right, let's get this voice note through. Yes.
This is Michael speaking from Israel. Please, I want to ask the Guru if there is any book you can read concerning this Ogoni, because the story we heard this morning is driven entirely with what I've been hearing before. Please, Baba Guru, is there any book we can read on this Ogoni land and the killings? Thank you.
All right.
Okay. No, I will not read it. I will give you 2 books. Then let my guest. Let my guest just measure them.
Although actually, one, Ken Saro-Wiwa's Legacies by Amayana Dominabo.
Okay.
That's one. Then there was one written by his brother, The Politics of Bones.
The politics of
Politics of Bones. It is laced with a lot of lies, but they inadvertently revealed a lot of truths too.
Okay.
Yeah.
You had the name, those 2 names, please write it down.
And then you also have, I think that these 2.
When it comes again, before then, I will equally include my own and we will read them out. Please. Thank you very much for your interest.
Good morning, the Guru and Ulu Akade. Please, the Guru, do you know that?
What?
Do you know that BAT Tinubu was born during Lord Lugard's era, and it's Mary Slessor who named him during his naming ceremony?
Nigeria. Oh, Lord Lugard era. So he must be senior to Azikiwe, who was 10 years old on the amalgamation day of October 1914, and senior to Obasanjo Awolowo, who was 6 years old on October 20, 1940. Okay, we need to laugh away our sorrows.
No, just for clarity, the Guru, I to emphasize what you said. Lord Lugard was Governor General of Nigeria 1914 to 1919.
Yes.
So you are saying he's 100 and what years old? Oh my goodness. Well, let me get your name. It's a good way to end the show, though. You didn't put your name.